dangerous turn of events having to do with Ukraine. Blockade of Iran denounced by European Union and Kiev, the government of Ukraine. Podolyak reports. Tehran, Iran denies supplying Russia with drones. The conflict in Ukraine has been complicated by the European Union looking for evidence of Iran's involvement in the conflict through the supply of drones to Russia, which are used in Russian attacks on Ukrainian targets. The EU looking for concrete evidence of any Iranian involvement there in Ukraine. European Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell said today, even though Iran has denied it has supplied drones to Russia, as Kiev keeps pushing for sanctions against Iran. It's noted that on Sunday, the Washington Post reported in its report that Iran is reportedly planning to send Fateh 110 and Zol-Fagar missiles to Russia to support its military operations in Ukraine. Borrell also indicated, Borrell is the of defense of Germany. Borrell also indicated that he does not expect to make progress in negotiations to revive the 2015 international agreement on Iran's nuclear program. He said, "We look for concrete evidence of Iran's involvement in Ukrainian war," Borrell noted, arriving at a meeting of EU foreign ministers in Luxembourg, which will also be attended by Ukrainian Minister Dmytro Kuleba. And he said, "I don't expect any movement. It's a shame because we were very close." He was referring to the 2015 deal, noting that negotiations with Iran have stalled in recent weeks. Anyway, Russian strikes with Iranian drones is what Iran denies. Ukraine reported an increase in Russian attacks with Iranian-made Shahed 136 drones in recent weeks. Iran denied providing these remotely piloted drones to Russia, while the Kremlin has not commented on this at all. The European Union may impose new sanctions on Iran over these drones, according to two diplomats involved in the preparatory talks between foreign ministers. Danish Foreign Minister Jeppe Kofod said, for his part, that the EU should react strongly to new airstrikes against Kiev, which hit residential buildings near a central railway station. He said, "What we can see now, Iranian drones being used in the center of Kiev, and this is an atrocity." Kofod stressed, pointing out that the EU must take concrete steps in response, as well as violently suppressing protests in Iran. Any use of Iranian drones in Russia's military against Ukraine would be an escalation of the conflict, Austrian Foreign Minister Alexander Schallenberg said. 3 kamikaze drones that were not apparently seen now in we are apparently seeing now in Ukraine. It's an escalation, he said. As he said, the supply of equipment to Russia would constitute active support for Russia against Ukraine. However, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman Nasser Kanaini said today that reports that Iran has offered drones to Russia are false. The news that Iran is offering Russian drones is politically motivated and is circulated from Western sources. "We have not provided weapons to any side," he said. Will Iran send missiles to Russia? The Washington Post reported in a report that Iran is reportedly planning to send Fateh 110 and Zol-Fagar missiles to Russia to aid in the military operation in Ukraine. U.S. officials told U.S. newspaper that the Islamic Republic Iran had secretly agreed with Russia to increase the supply of weapons, including these unmanned drones, and what some officials describe as the first Iranian-made surface-to-surface ballistic missile intended for use in Ukraine. The newspaper, citing representatives of U.S. security services and allies who agreed to speak on condition of anonymity, speaks of the procurement of surface-to-surface ballistic missiles, which can hit targets at a distance of 300 to 700 kilometers. Washington Post notes that on September 18, Iran sent a secret delegation to Moscow that agreed to increase the supply of Iranian weapons to Russian Federation, including ballistic missiles. Podolyak, Iran, he said Iran is responsible for Ukrainian losses, and Mikhailo Podolyak, advisor to Ukrainian President Zelensky, said Iran was responsible for Ukrainian losses after Russia launched attacks on cities in Ukraine with Iranian-made unmanned drones, according to Kiev, with Ukraine's top diplomat and Dmitry Kuleba asked European Union to impose additional sanctions against Iran. Ukraine reported an increase in Russian attacks with Iranian-made Shahed 136 drones in recent weeks. As we said, Iran denies providing these remotely piloted drones to Russia, while the Kremlin has not commented. Iran is responsible for Ukraine losses. The country oppresses its own people, is now arming Russian monsters for this in the heart of Europe, and this is what endless jobs and concessions to totalitarianism means. This is what happens when sanctions are not enough, Podolyak of Ukraine tweeted. So for his part, Kuleba asked the EU to impose more sanctions against Iran after these Iranian drones were used. Now, how is it that Iran says they're not theirs and Ukraine says that they are Iranian? Somebody has to prove with evidence who's right and who's wrong. So I've translated this for you from a Greek article, bankingnews.gr. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.